Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Talking Timepieces, where we talk about watch collecting and horology. Hey, Warren, nice to see you, my friend. Um, Today, I am wearing a Federation uniform from the original series, and I am from the Enterprise because in the original series, every ship had their own badge shape. It wasn't until the movies that they decided to simplify things and go with just the one symbol for the entire Federation. Back in the day, in the original series, if you saw various episodes where you had different ship captains or ship's crew, they would actually have different shaped badges, and each ship had their own badge. And they wallpaper over it by saying Starfleet recognized the Enterprise's achievement so much that they adopted the emblem. No military does that. It was just easier for the people making the movies to just go with one logo and not have. I mean, Roddenberry invented star dates to not have to worry about linearity in the story. They're going to take, plot armor is the thickest armor. They're going to take whatever out to simplify things for themselves, which is probably another topic that we could talk about in watches. But today I wanted to talk about accessories, specifically straps. And then I figured let me talk about other strap related accessories. So we would focus around straps. And I figured let me toss in a quick mention for uh, cases, because the reason that I'm even talking about straps is it came up in last week's live stream about cases and the issue of cases. And so I figured I would show my strap case. And since I'm talking about cases, I would talk about watch cases as well. But other than that, most of the things I'm going to be talking about are accessories related to, you know, cases and watches and things that you're not like a watchmaker to deal with. I'm not going to talk about time graphers or anything like that, case back tools. Let's just talk about stuff you need for your watch. If you're just a casual watch owner, collector, user, you're not a watchmaker. You just want to make sure your watch looks good, works well, and you can keep all your stuff in a nice place. Hey, Chris, nice to see you, my friend. Hey, Daniel, I'm going to be in San Antonio for APEC. We should get together for a beer. I'll be in San Antonio late March. I forget the exact dates, but if you look up APEC, the Applied Power Electronics Conference, I'll be there. And those dates, you can pretty much guarantee. I'd even let you crash and you can talk. I'd drag you into something and they all talk an electronic component shit, but we can do that too. Um, Stench Finger. Hello. They ruined both Star Wars and Star Trek with woke crap. Haven't been any good films. Have you ever seen Let This Be Your Last Battlefield, original series? Loki and Beale? Come on. And this is not a political channel, so that's all I'm going to say on that matter. So, yes, Daniel, San Antonio. I'm going to be in San Antonio. Hey, Mr. Donut. If I were to choose watches for the Starship Enterprise, which company would I choose and which model would I get? That's hard. You know why that's hard? Is because we have two real contenders for the throne, three real contenders for the throne, right? We got the Omega Speedmaster. This is a Speedmaster too, but six of one, half dozen of the other. You got Fortis, right? You got the Fortis, which has a serious space legacy, and you got Bulova, which doesn't have a lot of on wrist presence in space, but has a significant in system presence because the Achatron, was I smart enough to bring the Achatron down or did I leave it? Yes, I did. The Accutron was the first true electronic watch, and it wound up inside of satellites and on the dashboards of a lot of spacecraft. And Bulova was feeling all, you know, pregnant and hurt and beat up because the Speedmaster was getting all the traction, right? Or if, I mean, okay, if you want to see a Speedmaster Pro, I've got my Silver Snoopy, right? So the Speedmaster, as evidenced by the Silver Snoopy, the Speedmaster was getting all the attention, whereas Fortis Fortis has a seriously significant space heritage. They really do. They've been on the arms of a lot of cosmonauts, but since you're talking about an orange and green kind of situation, right? Uh, we tend to not really respect Fortis. Why? I don't know. It still had to go into space. And frankly, if you recognize the environment that they had to work in, they really had to be rugged, right? And accurate, right? So Fortis should actually get plus points for being with the old Soviet space program. But then again, Bulova, everyone points to the Speedmaster saving the Apollo 13 lives, but an Accutron actually saved a Mercury pilot's life, astronaut's life, for the exact same reason under similar circumstances. But nobody talks about that. Sometimes you gotta, branding, time, place works, right? But like I said, carnival time, so I get to pretend, and I'm not Kirk because I got the ponytail. I'm Khan. I'm Khan Noonien Singh, because he wore the Captain Kirk shirt too when he took over the ship in the original series episode Space Seed. Hey, John Gentile. Hey, hello from Wiesbaden. Where they just had a big Fasching carnival parade, and it shows you how big carnival is here in Germany. A lot of people don't realize how big carnival is, as big here as it is in New Orleans. Um, Wiesbaden holds their big parade today because Mainz, which is the place to go for carnival parade, they're holding theirs tomorrow, and Wiesbaden didn't want their parade to be. And they've literally never held it on the same day because they know that Mainz, it would just crush them. Nobody would. The Wiesbaden parade would be like, three teenagers and a guy in a bear suit or something, because everybody goes to Mainz for the Fasching parade. Cologne as well. I'll give Cologne that. Cologne and Mainz are probably the two biggest cities for Fasching parades, carnival parades. And I'm actually looking forward to seeing, because it is such a pretty parade. The American Military Marching Band will be there. Everybody will be there. The local high school piccolo squad will be there. But that's what the nice thing about a parade of that nature, because you literally have the most expensive floats on the planet, and then you got five kids pushing a wheelbarrow with a dog in it. It's such a nice parade for that sense. Ah, hey, David H from Dallas. Like I said, hello from Wiesbaden. Chris, I'm rather a bracelet guy in watches. Well, I know this, my friend. Well, you were with me when I bought the bracelet because the Silver Snoopy comes on the sailcloth strap. But I extra went and got the Omega bracelet because sometimes you want the bracelet. When you think about it, James Bond's the only guy who could pull this off on a NATO. I shouldn't say that. I've worn it on a NATO, but I'm not James Bond. Some watches, well, some watches have to be on a bracelet, right? Damn you, Gerald Genta. No, actually not. He was a really cool guy. I never met him, but I like his designs. March 22nd, Daniel. Oscar. Hey, Oscar. And one you sit. Hello, Mr. Donut. I thought you would mention Urwerk or MBNF. My choices are interesting. Well, frankly, the biggest reason I don't mention, I would I wouldn't say I would kill, but I would use really harsh language on someone to get an MB&F. I think, I mean, MB&F has made some awesome watches. So I hope I didn't disabuse you. I totally love and Ulrich. I'd wear either of their watches in a heartbeat. I don't have the budget for either of their watches right now. And actually, I have if I save up, I have Ulrich money, but I don't have MB&F money. I don't. I would totally take an MB&F watch. You name it, I would take anything of theirs. Although, okay, wait a second. Their the one where they had the visible rewind rotor, I thought that was a little kitschy. But anything else of MB&F. Oh, and like I said, their latest stuff, their perpetual calendar, the open tourbillon, or I'm not sure if it's a tourbillon, but the open balance wheel. Though that series with the perpetual calendar with the open balance wheel and just the gorgeous, humongous sapphire dome, awesome watches. So no, please do not think I don't like MB&F. I love MB&F. Anybody out there with MB&F, I would totally review some of your watches. Heck, I would just hold on to them for a short time. I'd be happy. But no, the MB&F makes awesome pieces. I've seen I when I was at Geneva Watch Days last year, they have a collaboration, a table clock that looks like the Jules Verne flying ship from one of his books. Awesome. I have a video on it. You should check it in the archives. And BNF makes some awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. So no. Please do not misunderstand me when I talk about lower price pieces and stuff. I talk about the stuff I can afford. We should have an episode, watches that I wish I could afford, but we could all sit in a room by ourselves and think of that list. A lot of watches I can't afford that I would love to have my hands on. Any chronograph, any chronograph, chronometer, pick one. I would take a three-hander. Lang and Söhne, a Saxony. I would take it in a heartbeat. I would take one of them. But the cheapest new is 16K, and they don't go down a lot. I mean, you're still talking 15K for a Lange and Söhne Saxonia, and I think that's only a two-hander. I would buy it tomorrow, but I don't I don't have that kind of casual money. The most expensive thing in my entire collection is my Snoopy, and I didn't pay what the market value is. I paid retail for it, which is actually significantly less than what the market value is. But as I've often said, you got to be a raccoon when you're a watch. It's not a bullish or a bearish market. You're looking for deals. You're looking because you could be in a market where everything is overpriced and just walk into the shop and the guy's at the last day of the cycle and he needs to move something to make his bonus, and you get something for 20% off because you happen to be in the right place at the right time. You got to keep your eyes open. You have to know what you're talking about. Just getting into a conversation with the salesperson and having them recognize that you know what you're talking about, that could be 10% right there. I have literally walked into shops when I bought my Captain Cook, which I wound up selling. But when I bought my Captain Cook, I got 15 points on it because I got into a conversation with the sales guy, and I'm like, and he appreciated that I respected what I wanted to buy, and so it was near the end of the month. He gave me a break. I saved 15 points for just being a nice guy and chatting with the salesman or woman. And the fact that you show up and care, especially as you go higher up in the food chain, you walk into some shops, like it starts, I would say, at the Omega level and up. Because if you walk past, say, for example, the Omega boutique on Fifth Avenue, a lot of people are intimidated by what they see, right? And if you just walk in and chat with them, you'll find out they're watch people and they'll love to talk to you. And even if you don't buy anything, they're just standing there all day. They would love to talk to somebody who actually gave a shit about what they cared about. And then if you actually want to buy something, they're going to show their appreciation, if only the token discount they have for the day. the other person didn't get. Mm, I'm being relatively pedestrian. This is just Chivas because I've been too lazy to go to my real whiskey store, so I bought this at the supermarket. Mr. Donut, Fortis has a long heritage for space exploration. Exactly. Not sure why it has never gotten the recognition compared to companies like Omega, Boulevard, and Seiko. Thanks. Well, I hate to say it, Mr. Donut, but a lot of that is the Cold War, right? Us versus them. And Omega and Boulevard, New York, Omega, I mean, but Western companies and versus the Soviet space program. So Fortis kind of got the bad deal on that because the watches don't have any politics and they went up to space to serve the astronauts regardless of nationality. But because of the us versus them mindset of the Cold War, Fortis unfortunately got the short end of the stick. One of the things I love about this, if you notice, there's no tachometer bezel, right? You don't need a tachometer bezel in space. So Fortis didn't put it on, which reminds me of the new Fortis Stratoliner. Beautiful piece. Pardon me. So let's start. We were talking about straps. Last week, we were talking about strap cases, and someone was talking about they're expensive. This is obviously not an expensive strap case. And it holds a lot of cases, holds a lot of straps. See, so, and this is the tours. There you go. You could probably look it up and find them, but you don't have to spend a lot of money for a case. And then speaking of that, a good watch case is never a bad investment. Although I find myself liking the individual cases more and more because they're easier to pack because they're just as rugged and padded and they hold one watch and they can fit in around your luggage. So four of these are about the same size as one of these, but four of these can go between your socks and stuff. You know, your mileage may vary. So that was cases, but like I said, and the strap case is totally worth it because straps can get a pain in the butt to manage. And having a case, at least you can see the individual straps and makes it easier. Now, when it comes to straps, one of the things about the Fortis is they even have screwed lugs. They have screwed lugs and they have screwed links. So the first thing you really need is a good screwdriver set because your screwdrivers are really, 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 really important because if it's a bad screwdriver, it could, pardon me, I'm getting the hiccups. You could get it could slip out of the groove and scratch your watch. So you want the best tools I've talked about this in other episodes is you really need the best tools you can afford because a bad tool risks scratching your watch because a good tool will sit and seat and turn and do what needs to be done. So it's worth buying a good screwdriver, a good pin tool, a good pin tool set. All of that works towards it because especially when you talk about wanting to change your straps on a regular basis or something, you want good tools so you don't damage your watch. And that also means if you do your straps a lot, you should buy a box of extra spring pins, spring bars. Then that way, if you really have a problem, you can always pry it out, break the spring pin, and put a new spring bar in. That's ugly but sometimes you got to do it. Maybe it's jammed, maybe it's rusty. And then Polywatch. Every well, unless all your stuff is sapphire or sapphire and mineral crystal, you should have Polywatch will polish any plastic crystal. And well, actually, I no longer have a speed. I used to have a Speedmaster with the Hesalite crystal, and that's why I have the Polywatch for, because it'll polish it beautifully. But I just recently took care of a friend's Junghans of mine, an old school first generation quartz Junghans, and I polished up his crystal for him with my poly watch. So if you have a plastic crystal watch, acrylic crystal, whatever, whatever name they give to the plastic they use for the crystal, poly watch will tighten it up immediately. And actually, if you have anything else that's transparent and plastic, buy the poly watch and it'll polish that up too. John Gentile, I'm an exotic strap guy. I have python, gator, and ostrich. You would love my friend Sartipi. He's got a custom shop in Dusseldorf. I did a video with him. I mean, he had frog leather. I mean, how many straps could you make from a frog? I mean, we're talking two straps tops, one strap if you get to choose the grain. And he has all that stuff. I love exotic straps. Although, ironically, I was at his shop. I was at his shop. Oh, yeah, Sartipi, to get a, a custom strap for my silver Snoopy. And so he talked me into this really nice strap. Notice that the thread is slightly lighter in tinge, and it's just a straight calf strap. And he put it on. I had the Omega buckle, of course, so he put it on the Omega buckle, and I wound up buying the metal bracelet for the silver Snoopy. So I put it on my Globe Master, and as you see, it works awesomely on the Globe Master. It looks gorgeous on the Globe Master. So no, I am a big fan of custom straps, and I actually was going to get an exotic leather strap from him, but he talked me into a plain. But he's got the exotic, and even something like a simple alligator, because this comes on a black pardon me, the hiccups. This comes on a black alligator, but I bought a blue with the white highlights because I wanted to sporty it up a little bit and wear it as a casual piece. And you can do that with you could dress a watch up with a strap. You can dress a watch down with a strap. You could take a watch that is classy dress and make it more casual dress. But you could really fine tune the presentation of a watch with the right strap. You really can. Let's see here. Mr. Donut, what about the Mad Series? Very reasonable to buy secondhand. Yes, they are. You're absolutely right. But I was saying, I don't know. I think the Mad Series is nice. And if I saw one for a good price, I would probably buy it because they are nice. But to me, the Mad Series was almost fan service. You know, it it's a bold watch. It's striking design. It's good horology. But I want something a little more. They make more awesome, elegant pieces. I want their more elegant stuff. If I want bold and brass, I'll wear my Tag Heuer skeleton Carrera 2 GMT Chrono column wheel. This is my, if I want to wear something with the maximum wrist presence, this is my maximum wrist presence watch in my collection. And then it goes slowly down. It goes then Navitimer if I want to be a bunch of wrist presence, but I want, to be a little classy. And then it goes to the Zenith El Primera Chrono Master, and then everything else is moot. If I really want to flex, I wear the silver Snoopy. In fact, I'm still a little chagrined. I was at Watch Time Dusseldorf last October, and I was trying to get Philip, the CEO of Fortis, to give me a break on a watch, and he pointed out I was wearing my silver Snoopy. And what do you say to that? Yeah, I'm gonna wear that much on my wrist, but I'm gonna try to Presbyterian 500 euros out of you. But I do own Fortis. I just don't own new Fortis. I own vintage Fortis. So at least he knows I respect the brand. Hey, Carter, EDT CT2. Hey, Delma Klondike Moon Phase. I must admit, I don't know the piece. It's my watch within a reason. I mean, my phone. Delma Klondike. I must admit, haven't heard of it, but that's nothing, because there are a lot of companies. Delma. I'll just type in Delma watch. Delma watches. Okay. Nice looking pieces. Oh, I like that GM. Yeah, you have intrigued me. I am going to investigate Delma more. This hiccup's going to kill me. At least it's amusing for you all, hopefully. But yeah, I'm going to look into Delma. Those are some nice looking pieces, and you in the audience should at least give them a look as well. But the Klondike Moon Phase, from what I just at a cursory glance, we're talking about a $300 to $500 watch. At that level, from what I mean, like I said, very cursory view, I would say they're almost certainly worth it. There are a lot of companies in that ballpark of nice pieces, good companies, honest, meaning they want to make a nice watch, and they're out there to be bought. The $300 to $800 range is full of deals, is full of great watches, is full of awesome watches. And that's part of the fun of collecting. You get to look and explore and teach yourself and learn about pieces. I mean, within every price point, they're going to be great pieces. In the 10 to 15,000 range, there were great watches. But when you talk about like watches that you can casually wear and not worry about and just wear, that's the perfect kind of watch. So, hey, Peter, always nice to see you, my friend. Come on, brothers under the skin. Australia, like rubber straps, is there convenient. Next are bracelets. Wait a second, convenient? Peter, my friend, what's more convenient than a NATO? What's more convenient than a NATO? You put the pins on, you got multiple NATO straps. I mean, these are different sizes, but I'm using this for illustration. You could go on a beach trip. You're in Australia. You can go with 12, 20. You could go with 30 different NATO straps and wear a different strap every day with the same watch, like a sub, something clean, and you'd have 30 different watches. Nothing wrong with rubber straps. Uh, I currently have my Breitling on a rubber, but then again, the Breitling rubber strap is a very, very distinctive rubber strap. But no, rubber straps. I'm a total fan of rubber straps. In fact, I've got a rubber strap for my Boulevard. I'm just wearing the leather on it right now. I've got rubber straps for quite a few of these. I've got the factory rubber for my JLC. Oh, by the way, people keep saying I don't show the pieces long enough on the screen. So there's my JLC Polaris Chrono, and I have the rubber for it. But sometimes you want to wear the metal. But once summer comes, it's going on the rubber because it's lighter, and yeah, metal does isn't affected too much by sweat, but the rubber's lighter. So I'm totally there with you, Peter, my friend. Oh, Oscar Nunes, looking for an ostrich for your vintage Doxa. I would reach out to Sartipi. He had yellow ostrich leather when I did my video interview with him. So odds are he probably still has some. But yeah, Sartipi, Sartipi. Just Google Sartipi Dusseldorf and you'll find him because he's got a shop there. And like I said, I bought his strap and he talked me into a very plain Jane calf, but it works so well. It works so well with the Globemaster. And ironically, they don't make a metal strap for the Globemaster because the case size and the lug width is different than the standard Globemaster. Go figure. And of course, they didn't make enough Globemasters or sell enough, I guess, to make the metal bracelet profitable. They sell it on a brown alligator. And I'm not a brown leather guy. Like I said, my apologies for the hiccups, but the show must go on. Hey, Chris. Yes, I said hi earlier. Speaking of special straps, thinking about getting a strap made from a basketball and American football. You could probably find someone to make you one. The thing about them is they're rubber lined leather. They're rubber on the inside to hold the air in. So if you get a basketball or a football, classic leather covered, because I think the modern ones are a synthetic that you don't need an inner lining because they're not really leather. But if you got a leather football from the oldie days, it was lined with rubber. So do you want a rubber lined strap? Get some jeweler to cut you a chunk out of a football, or do you just want to get a strap made from the leather that they make footballs from? Two different questions, right? Leather that they make footballs from, or make it from a real football. Both have pluses and minuses because if you're that much of a sports fan, having a strap made from a real football is cool. But if you just want that leather, you can get the leather. And although it might be harder to get than just getting an old football, and actually, if you get an old football, it's got the scarring and the patina and the hands on it and the sweat in it, that'd be cool too. Actually, yeah, see if you can find Sartipi he's got that punch for his straps for the regular stuff. Get your hands on an old foot. I mean, you live in Frankfurt, Chris. You could get to Dusseldorf in 2 hours, two and a half. And buy a football from somebody and bring it there, and he'll punch the leather out for you with or without the rubber lining. I'm guessing he'll probably put another lining in if he takes the rubber out. Some nice leather that's gentle on your skin. Oh, Evil Mad. Hey, nice to see you, Basel. Like I said, hi from Wiesbaden. I have funny, weird memories of Basel because when I was back in the old tiny days in the 80s and I was a sales rep, we would have guys occasionally who would lose their license because they were drinking it. We all drunk, but sometimes you get caught. And nowadays, of course, I would do something that stupid, but I was young and foolish in those days. And sometimes you would get busted twice. Luckily, I never had that happen to me. I was actually busted for speeding on many occasions, but not for DWI on a car. And a lot of these guys, they would lose their license and then they would get in trouble because they continued to drive. And so we would have a big party. We'd all drive to Basel. He'd get to drive his car one last time, and we would drive to Basel. And he'd get on a plane and go to the United States. Those weird, wild youth days of youth. And some of you are still going through that stuff. So if you're doing something similar, don't think it's strange because we've all done weird, strange stuff like that before. Hey, at Rock, my casual watch is an SRP. I'm guessing it with that serial number. I'm guessing it's a Seiko. I wear my G-Shock. Everybody should own a G. Everyone should own a G-Shock. I wear my G-Shock for casual sports or sports-like activities because it has timers, etc., and it's really simple to use. Well, that's why the Casio F9 is still the king of digital because it's so versatile. And the G-Shock is the big beefed up, cousin. And the nice thing about a G-Shock, you can get one that is a completely LCD digital, like literally no moving parts, bulletproof, or you can get one with hands. You can get one with a shiny metal case, which for a rugged watch, a shiny metal case is oxymoronic because you can scratch a metal case. But obviously, if you're doing your G-Shock Gerald Genta homage, you're not wearing it on your triathlon. But a standard G-Shock, I mean, I'm gonna have to buy a new G-Shock because I gave I had a G-Shock. You always should have a G-Shock in your collection. But I was looking at a fake Rolex that belonged to a friend of mine, and I broke his fake Rolex. And what do you say? Sorry, pulling off my socks. And what do you say to someone who you broke their fake Rolex? It's not under warranty. So I gave him my G-Shock as an apology, and I gave him back the fake Rolex because, as you know, I smash fake watches on the channel, and I didn't want him to think that I deliberately broke it so I would get it. And so he still has it. I should get it. But the trouble is now because I broke it, someone would say, well, this was a shitty, cheap Rolex fake to begin with. But even the best fakes are still pretty crap. Because the thing about a fake Rolex is it looks great for the first 3 years. And then the things that aren't right with it start manifesting. The bracelet fit and finish, and the movement is not that level. Because even the best, I have friends who have Rolexes they bought 20 years ago and have never taken it in to be serviced, and they still run like clocks. No pun intended. Not saying that every Rolex is that good, but they shoot for elegance. Think about how many times they've redone their basic three-hand movement. Literally no other watch company on the planet has rejiggered their three-hand movement as often as Rolex has. Nobody has. Everybody's working on variations of older designs, but the three-hander in the latest sub is not the same movement that was in 10 years ago sub. They refine the movement every way. There's 3135 right now. They're not refining it to make it more elegant. They're refining it to make it more reliable because that's what they're selling. They're selling, yes, this is a assembly line watch, but it is flawless. You're buying a Lexus. You're not buying a Mercedes. You're buying a Lexus. You want Mercedes? Buy Jaeger-LeCoultre. Actually, Jaeger-LeCoultre to me is more like Aston Martin. But Rolex, that's why the thing about their fakes, you got to fake. Come back to me in 10 years, and we'll compare your fake to my real Rolex, and the 10 years will have shown mileage on that fake. They wouldn't have gotten 10 years. Every person I know who's bought a fake Rolex after year 2, it's broke. You know, there's a reason. There's a reason the company has a legacy and a heritage and a name. I mean, you can't get that reputation just with advertising. Although there is a lot of advertising involved. But I wanted to get back to our topic. What else did I wanted to bring up? Oh yes, if you're really into it, get yourself a diamond. So it tells you touch the probe on the surface, and it tells you if it is a true gemstone. It's used by diamond dealers and the like, but it will tell you whether or not the crystal on your watch is really a sapphire or not. And that's how you can catch out a lot of fakes too, because maybe it's just a mineral glass, or maybe the display window in the back, which is supposed to be sapphire, they put the front glass sapphire just to make sure it doesn't scratch on you, but then the back window is mineral glass, and a diamond detector will catch that stuff out. And having said that, I have three kinds of loops here. I've got the loop that you scrunch up and you fit in your eye. I got the loop that you clip onto your sunglasses or regular glasses. And then I got the handheld loop that you fold into a case, because this is the one you carry in your pocket when you go watch shopping. So when you're going watch shopping and you turn on the little light, it's got a little light, you turn it on and you look at the damn watch with a loop, and just looking at the details will help you a great deal. And it doesn't just have to be whether it's fake or not. Maybe you're looking at it and you wanted to see how much of a patina it really is, or maybe they messed with the loom, or having a loop when you're watch shopping is a given. Now, I mean, if you're if you're shopping new, it's different, because new, but if you're shopping for anything vintage or anything used, you need to have a loop with you, because that will detect a lot of stuff. It will detect a lot of stuff. Maybe there's no etched uh, symbol in a crystal in a Rolex because they etch a symbol. A lot of companies etch a symbol. Omega etches symbols in their crystals. The loop would tell you if that's there or not. There are a lot of things you could detect with a loop. Really, the grain on the print, that's important. You really can. A loop is, and they're not even expensive. Get a loop. Get a loop. Get some calipers. Get some calipers. And get calipers with carbon fiber or plastic grips so they don't scratch your watch. And if all you do with it, I'm trying to find something with a lug right now. Okay, if all you do with it is check the lug width of your watches, it's worth it, because then you know what size strap you got to buy. This is a 22 millimeter lug width, so I need a 22 millimeter strap for which I really love this piece. The Frederic Constant World Timer is the best world timer for under $10,000 you're going to find in the marketplace. And I'm sticking with that story, because the Omega Aquaterra World Timer is arguably better in some ways, but it's at 9,000 and change. So I consider that at the higher level. I'm rounding up on that one. But this is the best one for under 10K, in my humble opinion. The best one for 10K is the Omega. But you can buy two of these for what the Omega cost. His and her world time watches. Rock. But obviously you couldn't race your daily watches. They're pretty pricey. Well, that's why you have a collection. Like, for example, my knocking around piece currently, wristwatch check. I'm wearing my Maurice Lacroix GMT. This is worth about what? Used $1,500, which okay, is a lot of money, but not compared to some of the bigger pieces in the collection. So this is what I wore to the Fasching parade, the carnival parade, because if I woke up drunk and this was missing, I don't get that messy, but you never know. I could get roofied or pickpocketed. It's a parade. There are a lot of people. You never know. So yeah, and I actually genuinely like this piece. I genuinely like it because the icon has that really big bezel, but with the GMT, at least the bezel has a purpose. You know, it's got the second time zone on it, which is one of the so I even though it's an office GMT and not a travel GMT, so I have it. I wear this is my knocking around the house watch, and it's the second time zone's my mom's house. I mean, I've got travel GMTs, but I wear them when I travel. The irony, the irony is the quintessential pilot's watch, the GMT Navitimer, or at least this series GMT Navitimer, is an office GMT. It's not a travel GMT, but it's a Value 7750 base. So I guess they couldn't get too aggressive with the secondary complication. Baseball, but as a compromise, says Evil Mad. Rock, what would be my suggestion for a watch that has a leather strap but isn't going to start decaying in a short time? Majority leather or low quality? Well, that's why actually another reason that I was convinced, that my friend talked me, Sartipi talked me into just a calf instead of some really exotic stuff because it's lined with a different leather, right? And it's a good, robust leather strap. This will last for a healthy period of time. Um, Actually, this alligator would also. I think the key is some exotic leathers are relatively thin, like eel or snake or whatever. They're relatively thin leathers. So unless they have a good support structure and a good backing leather, they might not last as long. So I think what you have to look out for is the overall construction of the strap, not necessarily the leather type. If the construction of the strap is solid, then you'll be okay. But some exotic leathers are kind of thin. Like I said, eel or snake or frog, which I've seen. Sartipi had some frog. But yeah, I would say more look at the construction of the strap than the materials themselves. But the part touching your skin should be a reasonably robust leather. That would help a lot. Or rubber if you don't mind sweating. You get used to it. Um, but yeah, an exotic strap should have a natural leather inner side against your skin. Otherwise, your skin acids will start attacking the exotic leathers. We're ablative systems, to be scientific about it. We're constantly shedding sweat and skin and all of this other gack, which is, they call it snottage, the buildup on the back of a watch, which is why you should clean the back of your watch with a damp toothbrush every once in a while to get the snottage off the dead skin and all the skin oils and such. But they're corrosive. So, yeah, make sure that the strap is of good construction. Did I have any other tools that I wanted to bring up? Oh, yes. You should have a good pin removal tool. That's actually a real drop of blood, but it was from, I was working on something and my finger slipped. But a good pin tool, you screw you go, and it pushes the pin out as opposed to using, because people will sell you hammers and a set of pins. I'm like, that's begging for problems. And I have a hammer and set of pins, but this is way better. It pushes the pin out. You take a pair of pliers and you pull it out the other side, and you don't risk damaging your stuff. What happens if the pin slips? Then you got a scratch on your bracelet. Good tools keep you from damaging your watch. That's the point. We're about 10 from the top of the hour, so any last questions should better come in now. Um, Rock, I engage in activities that should be extreme for pricey watches like diving, shooting, swimming. That's why leather straps are a little tough. Well, rubber straps? Rubber straps aren't metal. They give. Like I was saying, I'm currently I actually normally have a lot of stuff on rubber, but right now the only thing I currently have on rubber is my Breitling. But a rubber strap can complement the watch if done right. You know, so I would think about rubber or NATO. Everybody, why denigrate NATO? It's nylon strap. It's indestructible almost. It You can get them in a gajillion colors and styles and designs. Get a get. Oh yeah, speaking of rubber, see, I mean, I got a ton of rubber straps. I just don't have any currently on a piece. This is actually the one I put on the Globe Master in the summer. But the old James Bond basic blue. You can do so much with NATO's. This is the rubber strap I wear on the. I think it was silicon rubber. This is the rubber strap I wear on the Bull of a Luna Pilot when I'm in that mood. I mean, heck, I got. This is a 22. I used to wear it on my Cartier, but I sold the Cartier, but I kept this strap because who knows? I may have another watch opportunity that has that big an ass strap. Or Milanese, that's my go-to for a metal bracelet when I don't have the factory bracelet. This actually fits my Zenith El Primero Chronomaster. It's hard to find with 21 millimeter, you know, because that's the El Primero is a 21 millimeter lug width, or what do you wear on Bastille Day or the 4th of July? Straps give you a lot of flexibility. I still have the stupid Swatch Speedmaster strap because I have a Mission to Moon phase, but I keep it on a black NATO. NATO straps are cool. Don't discount the NATO strap. So if you don't want to wear a leather and you have a rugged lifestyle, I would totally look into NATO straps because they'll give you everything you want. And when they get all worn out, they cost what, $5? Buy a new one or at least wash the one you're wearing. And then use a lighter to burn off the burrs because it's just nylon. Hey, Butters, nice to see you, my friend. So, I don't see any new questions, and we're getting close to the top of the hour. And I got to get up early to go to the fashion parade in Mainz tomorrow. I went and I go through all the trouble. I bought a Darth Vader costume and I wore it today. Really cool Darth Vader outfit, but it had no pocket or pee hole access. And I dropped the cape on a wet bathroom floor and I had to go home because I'm trying to get out of the costume. So I went to my default carnival costume, Halloween costume, whenever I need a costume. That's a quick and dirty costume. You put on the Captain Kirk shirt, or in this case, the Khan shirt, and you're at least in a costume of some sort. But I'm going to actually take the costume because I give it a B plus. It's a reasonably well made costume, but I'm going to actually have a seamstress because I can just cut the holes, but then they fray. I'm going to have the seamstress actually make me a pee hole because the Darth Vader cod piece covers that area, and get some pocket holes made so I can reach through the costume into my pockets so I can buy a beer. But that's another day. So, Chris, always nice to see you. Rock, everyone. Tell your friends, subscribe. I just want to have a channel where we could talk about watches. I try not to talk about the market very much. I do the occasional review and they do the occasional interview, but at the end of the day, I'm just a collector like you and just want to talk about watches. And you can always join the show and you can always ask questions, and I'm always there for you because otherwise, I'd just be a crazy guy who's really into watches talking at the walls. And who wants that? So tell your friends, Butters. Yes, I'm glad you think it's funny. But I mean, I'm trying to be funny. And I hope you enjoy it. I really do hope you enjoy the time that we spend together because I enjoyed the time we spent together. I love all of your questions. I love the fact that we can interact, and I wouldn't have this channel without all of you watching. So thank you very much. Have a fantastic evening and have a great week.